Yo, what's up? It's Chatter here, back with another one of these stupid TDT videos. I am here with my Week 7 recap and my sort of recap of the season as the regular season as a whole, I guess. I'll look back to my post-auction PRs and see how accurate they were to the standings at the end of the regular season, and then I'll do a more in-depth predictions for how I think that playoffs will go. I don't think there'll be a video in between the 2 weeks of playoffs, but there will be a final video at the end of playoffs to just sort of show how the playoffs went, I guess. Well, what I thought about the playoffs. And then that'll be it for a while on the channel, I guess. But anyway, let's just jump right into it. First, you see Alakazam IQ 7-0's Apocalyptic Pawns. Apocalyptic Pawns don't care at this point. And I guess Alakazam IQ is still at least trying. Well, I mean, I think you had like what, 4 FFs from Apocalyptic Pawns here. Well, I think there were some games that were just dead between the two, and this gave them all to Alakazam IQ because it doesn't fucking matter. I think you did have a couple games get played though. I think Robert Panda kind of destroyed Accidental. Blinn beat Cameron Blazeit, and Kyleo beat Will, Big Will. So yeah, not much to say there. Neither of those teams are making playoffs anyway. And here, next up, you do have a team that made playoffs, which was Yusu and Friends versus the Big P Nido Kings. So obviously this was an important battle for Yusu and Friends, and they were able to pull through. Yeah, you see Big P Nido Kings making it close, but not able to get the W. I think that Yusu and Friends making playoffs makes sense. I don't really think they'll make it very far in playoffs. I mean, they seem like a worse team to me than NJ, which didn't make playoffs. And I think that their schedule was pretty easy. I think, when there were 3 teams going into this week that were potentially going to make playoffs, and they had the easiest matchup of those 3 teams. So they were able to get it in there. So good for them. And who knows, maybe they'll surprise me in this week, but I kind of doubt it. And you have Blazing Infernape versus NJ. NJ did not win this one, and as you can see by this game, that means that they are the one team of the 3 that did not make playoffs. Which means, I mean, that's kind of surprising, honestly, considering how good NJ was at the beginning of the season. Went 3-0, we're the only 3-0 team 3 weeks in, and then just fell off. I think what started it was they lost to Shady Business. They got steamrolled by Shady Business, and they're just sort of unable to shake that off for the rest of the season. And Blazing Infernape obviously does make playoffs in the number 1 seed, since they were clearly actually trying this week, even if it didn't really matter, because they were making playoffs anyway, which isn't something that can necessarily be said for Suck My Moon, although we are obviously trying now. You see a couple things that happened in this game. First of all, I think Rise of Dark, which one was it that got hacked? A couple of these games got hacked, I think. I'm not gonna remember, but regardless, I do remember that happening, and I guess I'm coming up with excuses at this point. The point is that my team got kind of steamrolled. It didn't really matter for our ability to make playoffs. We're facing Shady Business again this week, so hopefully we're able to kind of show up this time. I started this week and I played to make up for my completely decent play last week. I played like a complete and utter dumbass this week. So there's that. I don't have anything to blame on that, but hey, that's another excuse I can use. See, Suck My Ween lost this week because they started me. Duh. Yeah, that's why we lost. Yeah. Anyway, I hope we're able to get a different result next week, but it doesn't really matter. So, well, this game doesn't really matter. So whatever. And moving on, this game didn't even get finished. At this point it didn't matter. RCS Wish at the beginning of the week had some hope of making playoffs, but they don't anymore. So that's not much to be said about this. Hacker won. I love it when Hacker wins, because then nobody makes fun of him for like 30 seconds, and then people start making fun of him again. It's great. So anyway, the next thing I think I'm gonna transition into is this. I wanted to compare my post-auction PRs to the final standings here. And I think there were a couple things that my PRs were pretty good about. You see right here, Shady Business and Suck My Ween end up in the exact same spot. And you do see Apocalyptic Pawns. I did get that right, that they were going to be last. Although I don't think anyone was really predicting them to do super well. So, moving on to things that I wanted to say. I know that in my original post-auction PRs video, I talked about, I said, oh, maybe I should have put Yusu and Friends above Big Nido Kings, because I sort of had maybe a mind change last minute. I do wish I'd made that change, because that would have made it slightly better, but who knows. In general, I think they were pretty alright. If you look at my bottom four, I have 3 out of the 4 people that were in the bottom 4 there, and the same thing goes for the top 4. Yusu and Friends at 6. I do think they had a pretty easy schedule, as I've said, but they were able to make 4, so good for them. Obviously, Team NJ at 1 didn't end up happening, although I did think that they were a good team, and obviously they showed how good they could be for the first 3 weeks. Just sort of weren't able to hold it up for the second half of the season, which is highly unfortunate. And ended up dropping out of playoffs. And Blazing Infernapes, I think I was actually put Blazing Infernapes higher than most people even did at post-auction PRs, excluding people on Blazing Infernapes, of course. Yeah, I think they surprised a lot of people this season by being first, which is good, you know. I'm a big fan of a lot of people on that team, so I'm happy to see them doing well. And I think they are probably my favorite to win the league going into playoffs here, but you never know what happens. Look at Season 2 playoffs, those were quite odd. Yeah. Looking at the bottom half of the roster, obviously, it was a little too harsh on RCS Wish. I don't know, RCS Wish seemed to hate me the entire season, but they ended up in 6th, which I think is where they were on my PRs for a good bit of the season. Obviously, it moved up a bit after week 1 and stuff. I was very close on Alakazam IQ, and I think a lot of people thought they were a much better team than this going into the season, but just were unable to perform. So they dropped pretty low, so I'm happy that I was able to get that somewhat right at least. Obviously, good bit too high on Big P Nidokings, good bit too high on Drunken Spoons, and like I said about Yisu and Friends. But in general, I'm pretty happy with how close I was. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but could have been a lot worse for sure. I think most other PRs that were posted were probably worse than mine, although I don't know, I haven't really looked back at them to see. I know I went over a couple other people's PRs in my original video, my original post-auction PRs that people have been posting in chat. So if you want to look at those and see how close they were to the standings, then you can go back to towards the end of that video. Those were. So yeah, that's about all I have to say for that section. So now we're gonna move on to the playoff predictions, what I think is going to happen in playoffs. So yeah, here we are. I am predicting Blazing Infernape to be able to handily beat Yisu and Friends. I don't think this will be super close. Going through each game, Ramoxo versus Colin, I'm not really sure why people think Colin will win. That's a little harsh on my part, but I mean, Colin, he is technically undefeated. He's hexed a couple times, but Ramoxo is also technically undefeated. So I think he'll win. I just think Ramoxo is a better player in general, regardless of performance in this league, which Ramoxo has been doing quite well in this league. So I don't really think that'll be a close game. And Blazing Infernape should be able to win that one. Moving on to Natdex, we have Zafactum versus Austrian George. I think that Ziff will win. I think this could be a pretty close game for sure. Both players are quite good, but I just generally think Zafactum is a little bit better, although I'm sure Austrian George will put up a fight for sure. And then you have the Rupita versus Kirby. I know Kirby's been doing pretty well since he got picked up by Yisu and Friends at mids. But I just generally, I think the Rupita's kind of impressed me this season, so I just generally think he'll win. But you never know. This one is definitely one that Yisu and Friends could swing. Then you have Robot Boy versus Cheez-Its. This is another one that I think Yisu and Friends could swing. Cheez-Its has done really well this season. But I'm a big fan of Robot Boy. So I think that he should be able to win. Although Cheez-Its has been doing quite well. And then you have Gammon versus the Pichu. And Pichu obviously is one of the top players this season, as is Gammon. I think Gammon, I don't know quite what Gammon's thing is, but I think he has like 2 losses, whereas Pichu only has 1. And yeah, I mean, I know they fought earlier in the season and Pichu was able to win, so I kind of assume that's what's going to happen this time. But obviously I am a big fan of Gammon, so I'm not counting him out for sure. This is another one that could swing. But I just generally think that Pichu probably wins. And then you have Pyronox versus Starwolf. This is not one that I think that Yisu and Friends will swing. Pardon me. Um, Paranox has been quite good this season, and Starwolf, I don't think he's done a bad job, but just generally, I don't think he's going to be able to beat Paranox, who's done very good job. And then ORSCF PK versus Evan. Again, this game could go either way, really. I mean, I voted for Evan. Both very similar skill level players, I'd say. But I think Evan probably will be able to win. And then LC, this game's already happened. Tikito versus Jasper. I don't know if it's Tikito or Tikito. It might not be either of those. I'm a fucking dumbass American who doesn't know how to pronounce shit. Yeah, I mean, Tikito... What? I'm not gonna fucking... Okay. Tikito has done really well in LC so far this season. I think he lost one towards the end, but other than that, he's been really good. And Jasper, I don't really know how much Jasper's played this season, but I mean, obviously Jasper's a good LC player, but I just don't think that they're on the level of Tito. Oh, I dropped something. I just don't think they're on the level of Tito, and so, yeah, I think that Tiki will win, and Tiki did win, so I was right on that one. I am actually, I think, 4-0 so far in pick'em, so who knows. And then here, so this game is going to be a little bit more complicated. I actually have it as 4-4 in my pick'ems, which is, pretty weird. That's not super common to see a 4-4. However, I do think that Suckamine probably has the advantage. Devin versus Wabo was one game that I wasn't super surprised at. Obviously, that game has already happened, and Wombo is undefeated so far this season. Devin's good as well, but it's hard to vote against Wombo, really. Toxic versus Word Life is another game that already happened. This is a game I voted for Toxic, but I felt that it probably could have been swung, because it seemed like Word Life was, like, in the server, it seemed like Word Life was trying a little harder than he has for most of the season. But Toxic took the win, and I voted for him because he's been doing really well this season, and so yeah. You also have Insanity versus Pi. I voted for Pi. Again, this one could also be flipped. I mean, Insanity's done really well since he first started, but Pi is going to be trying his hardest in this game. He's definitely not going to not try. As I don't know if he's ever not tried in this league, but I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Point is, I think Pi is a better player generally, even though Insanity has been doing quite well. This is one that could swing. This is another one that I think could swing, and yeah, we'll see. But I am voting for Pi right now. And then you have Jeremy versus Wolverine. Another one that I think could swing, but I'm just voting for Jeremy. If Wolverine's able to pull through, then that's really nice. But who knows? And then you have Habada versus Rise of Darkrai. I voted for Darkrai here. I think Habada's been doing pretty well, but Darkrai has as well. And yeah, I think that Darkrai should win. Just generally think he's the better player. not much else about that, I guess. And Runigan versus Tristan. This is another one I think that could swing. Obviously, Havada versus Darkrai could also swing. I don't know that much about Havada, I guess. But I did vote for Runigan here. If Tristan is able to pull through, that would be great. I think that it's possible. But I don't know. I think Runigan should be able to win. And then another game that has happened already. This game could have potentially swung because SSG Bulk Up had the matchup for sure. But I don't know. He brought a couple weird sets that I didn't necessarily agree with. I mocked him beforehand, and I hacked him, but I did win. So that's a red flag in any game. But Brett was able to pull the win, as my pick'em says. But I did think that SSG Bulk Up had a chance. But hey, whatever happens, happens. Then LC, Beardy versus Inversify. I know Beardy did beat Inversify last week, but I don't think that really matters. I think that Inversify should be just fine. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I lose my train of thought so often in this. But yeah, I think Inversify should win. So in general, I think the reason I voted for Suckling here is because there's two games that I really feel pretty confident about, which are Wombo versus Devin and Beardy versus Inversify. And the rest of the games, I could go either way. Obviously, I think that one person will win over the other. So that's why I ended up voting for Suck My Ween, because I feel like we had a better chance of flipping the 4-4 that I had. But you never know what's going to happen. Thank you, I guess. So, yeah, I guess that's just about all I have to say. Just a quick prediction for next week. If we assume that the two teams I predicted make it in to next week, then I don't want to predict against my own team, but I do think that Blazing Infernape is going to win the league. So I'll see you in 2 weeks after playoffs are over. That's about all I have to say. I will see you next time.